So sorry for the delay in the YouTube videos. It's been a long fall. And here we are, October already, working for wolves, completed this weekend. And what we did was try to button up some of the access panel areas for snow prevention. Reused our solar light that we used to have on our flagpole. But most importantly, put a roof between the pack holding area and the east side retirement. That's where Luna and Grizzer move back and forth. And again, that's where we think Grizzer may have slipped with his ACL, so that's going to be completely covered so that they have good access going back and forth. Luna got another half sheet in the kennel that she likes to kind of hang out in the front of the exhibit. We also put another wind barrier, a 4-foot wind barrier to block the wind for her. She likes to kind of hang out there, take her meds. And we're working on some visual barriers, trying to figure out again if we do have a retirement or some other kind of circumstance, what the wolves can see. Wolves did fairly well. This was filmed from inside the enclosure, and they were focused a little bit over towards retirement. Grizzer typically leading some of these howls, because as nightfall occurred, he got to move back in, so it was a kind of an exciting time for him and investigating, as well as obviously some response from the local wild wolves. There's Axel with blood on his face from the feeding, and we'll show you a little bit of feeding footage. But so this was filmed from inside, and I'll let you listen to that a little bit. So as we transition between the retired pack and the exhibit pack, I thought I'd share with you a little bit of fall dynamics here as we try to interpret the interactions between the wolves and look for any changes in attitude. This is the time of the year where things kind of pick up. Tensions increase, hormones increase, dominance increases. In retirement, though, what we see is a likely indication of more related to prime real estate than it probably is about wolf behavior. So when you're older, you want that sun when it's a little bit cooler, and that seems to be the prime sleeping spots that they choose. And so Grizzer laying in the front of the den, and he's actually sometimes like a sundial. Everywhere the sun goes, he keeps moving and moving until he loses the sun and then goes into the den. So that's something that we will see. Both these wolves do benefit from having that warmth on their older bones. But we are seeing, especially Luna being a little bit younger. She's obviously 5, Grizzer going on 13. That's quite a difference in age. So Luna's got a lot more activity and a lot more energy, but don't count Grizzer out at 13. He's right in there with her doing what we call play bows and invite chases, and certainly gathering a lot of energy around interactions with each other. So even Grizzer here, as he's walking, you see that back leg being able to support weight and be able to support him running, tail up, definitely confident. And as I mentioned earlier, he's 122 pounds, so he's feeling good. He's in a good weight for coming into winter. Luna maintaining about 105, which is a little bit heavier than we want, but it's a good weight for her. You can see actually her posture. She's able to maneuver pretty well, so she's lost enough weight here to make her probably a little bit more mobile than she had been. And this is the back habitat. You don't often get to see. This is a surveillance video, so that's where they come from the pack holding area into the back habitat. You can see, like, say, Grizzer has a very wagging tail, social greeting. You know, he has no intimidation from Luna, comes right up to her, approaches her, and then runs with her. So they're doing pretty well. In the exhibit, we've been noticing a couple of different things going on. First of all, some wild wolf behavior that's gotten things get a little bit ramped up. We're putting out some wildlife cameras to kind of check it. This was filmed on September 28th. I was in the enclosure filming, and it started out pretty social with Denali showing a little bit of intensity towards Grayson, which obviously caused Grayson a little anxiety and tucked tail, but pretty much wagging and everybody interacting, and Bolt's right there involved. Little hackle response from Aiden and a little tension between those two. And then Grayson comes over and backs up against me and tries to use me to help kind of protect him or block him. And Bolts gets a little intense when the yearlings are near people, and I think that's what kind of triggered it. And then Bolts had a definitive put down by Aiden, which happens, and usually it's over. I mean, Bolts and Aiden have had those bouts before, but what's different is that Axel comes in from behind, and he's doing grab bites from behind, and you can hear obviously the intensity. And one thing about ritualized dominance is they are very noisy, and they certainly are very intense, but a lot of that noise and posturing actually kind of prevents a little bit more of the physical contact. And you can see here really Bolts has got a wide stance. He's kind of in that should I stay, should I go kind of stance. And Aiden's growling at him has actually kept Bolts from actually even doing any physical contact. So you can see where ritualized dominance and the intensity of this growling makes makes them get their point across without physical contact. But yet we've got Axel, who's doing that same behavior he did as a pup, that tail grabbing from behind, and Grayson is not involved. Grayson's sniffing. No doubt there's anal sync glands and probably cortisol flowing out of Aiden in this stressful circumstance, but you're seeing really this is an Axel issue. Even Bolts has backed off and not intent. So we've been through this before. This entire event probably lasted less than 3 minutes, but what we saw in that time frame was the start of Aiden's confidence being impacted, and you can see that with his ears pricked and turned sideways, although his tail is not tucked, but clearly he's concerned about Axel behind him. And so, like I said, this is something that we're going to be watching not only from the standpoint of how Axel continues to focus on him, but what Aiden's overall confidence is. One thing that happened after this event, so this happened on Thursday, by Sunday, Aiden was kind of staying up in the woods a little bit, and Grayson was howling. And when Grayson howls, typically it means that, something's not right with him. And then again on Monday morning, when I came in for wolf care, Grayson was kind of howling down in the lower part of the exhibit. Aiden was in the upper part of the exhibit. And so we know that Grayson has an alliance with Aiden, and that was something that, again, will be impacting the dynamics of this pack, is Aiden's relationship with Grayson kept Grayson confident. But by later in the day, as you notice on the surveillance camera here, things are back to normal. Aiden comes out in a T2 tail. Bolts doesn't react. That's Axel actually kind of looks at him, but continues to go about his business. One thing I did notice also since this incident is Aiden's been probably doing a little bit of more active dominance on Denali. I think that's typical. When an animal's comfort level is impacted, they tend to go with the rank order assertion over the animal that gives them the least resistance, and I think in that case that's Denali. So it's not uncommon for Aiden's pattern when things are a little tense that he redirects to Denali. And again, you can see here Denali quickly turns his head, tucks his kind of ears down a little bit. Aiden does a chin rest, and Denali whirls a little bit, but the tails are wagging. This is definitely just kind of a posturing interaction just to help reinforce Aiden's confidence, and again going into a chin rest there, and Denali being a willing participant. So lower ranking wolves really do help reinforce the dominance, and especially when there's some tension or some strife going on. But you also would have noticed a little parallel gait there with Grayson and Aiden, showing that alliance that those two have. And we also had a What's for Dinner program for that Saturday night. So the Working for Wolves crew actually camped out in front of the auditorium for 2 nights. And this is a full deer. We've been seeing a little bit of possession from Denali towards the yearlings. So the yearlings up until about August were still treated kind of as pups. And now that they're entering maturity, Denali's shown a little threat display there, and has been particularly hard on Grayson. Of course, Grayson's been focusing a little bit on Denali, and as you saw from the video, Axel's been focusing on Aiden. So watching that, a little bit of a standoff there between Denali and Grayson. Grayson's confidence again, tuck tail, ears flat back, but he's not backing down. And that's pretty much the indication of how the winter is probably going to go. Starting to see a little bit of that posturing towards rank orders. So thanks for watching. I will try to get back at least twice a month, if not weekly. And here's Axel with his nose full of blood from the deer. We'll see you again.